Welcome to Transport Vlog. My name is Paul and today I am just outside Milsons Point Station, but as you can see I'm on my bike. So why is this? Well, it's September 2021 as I'm filming this, and at the moment we're in the middle of a COVID-19 lockdown, and the rules are that I cannot go more than 5 kilometers from where I live. So this is my first video delving into the world of active transport, i.e. cycling, running and walking. So how far do you think a middle-aged man can cycle in a day without going beyond 5k? Let me know in the comments right now. Now, because this is a transport related channel, I am going to go past some of the Sydney metro stations and see how they're progressing. I'm also going to show you a couple of other little transport projects that are happening, maybe talk a little bit about some history as well, and just see how much I can show you that will be of interest during my day out on my bike. So this is what 5k from home looks like based on where I live. You can see that there's quite a lot of water within my 5k area, but there's also a lot of really interesting things to see. Okay, so now in North Sydney outside the Channel 9 building. Unfortunately, my normal viewpoint of Victoria Cross Station here is pretty inaccessible today, so I'll have a look around and see what else we can see. This is taken from a little viewing hole on Ferry Street. And this is from the Pacific Highway. The main thing I'm noticing here is a lot more porter cabins than there were last time I was here. So now in Crow's Nest, and behind me is Hume Street. So this street has been closed and it's going to be raised a little bit higher to allow Crow's Nest station to go underneath it. Here is a closer look at Hume Street. Pacific Highway is on the other side. A little bit too much happening today to get a look in on Clark Lane. This is now looking from Pacific Highway. So I'm now in Naremburn Park. This is just north of St Leonard's. The railway line is just behind me. I could go a little bit further north. I think I can get up to about Pyrmont. I can't quite go as far as the Chatswood dive site, unfortunately. That's out of bounds for me at the moment. But I think I'm going to leave it here and start to head south and a little bit west. Here is the view of Naremburn Park. And here is my bike, in case you were wondering what it looked like. Now cycling through Tallis Street Reserve, which is really quite stunning. So I'm now at Mary Carlson Park in Greenwich. Absolutely fantastic views here, as you can see. The Harbour Bridge is on the left, and then you can see the CBD in the background, Balmain Peninsula in the foreground, including Birch Grove Wharf. And if you look very closely, you might be able to see a bit of the Anzac Bridge. Here is the Iron Cove Bridge, and then Cockatoo Island. You can now see the Parramatta River continuing straight ahead. The Lane Cove River branches off to the right, but you can't really see that here. You can see the Woolwich Peninsula behind me. Now technically Woolwich is within 5k, but there's a slight problem of getting there. So by road I'd have to go outside the 5k. I could get the ferry there, but I'm avoiding non-essential travel, so I think Woolwich is off limits today. So this is the furthest northwest I'm going to get. I'm going to try and get a little bit further west once I'm on the other side around the Pyrmont area. Here is a First Fleet ferry approaching Greenwich Point Wharf. You might see this slightly weird thing I've got on my neck here. It's my new microphone. It's a Smart Mic Plus, and it comes with what's called a windshield, or apparently in the industry they call them a dead cat. Really, really strange name. Anyway, I've just done over 11k now, so I'm making good progress. Here's a Parramatta ferry, and in the background you can see the top of the Anzac Bridge. At the end of Vista Street is Holloway Reserve, and this is also a fantastic viewpoint, as you can see. The Anzac Bridge is a bit more visible here, as you can see. I'll be on that later, so keep watching. Coming into view now is the Gore Bay Terminal. This is owned by Viva Energy Australia. Getting to Wollstonecraft Station from Greenwich requires crossing this beautiful bridge that goes over Berries Creek. So I'm now at Wollstonecraft Station, and as you can see behind me, there's quite a lot going on here. As part of the Transport Access Programme, 2 new lifts are being installed and the platform is being raised to allow step-free access at this station. This new footpath comes from the new lift on the northbound platform and provides much better access to the existing road bridge. Here is the new northbound lift. And here is the new lift being built on the southbound platform. So Wollstonecraft Station has always had step-free access, but not really. There were no steps but quite a few hills, and of course the platforms weren't level to provide step-free access to the actual trains, hence the reason for this work. The existing northbound platform path is on quite a hill, as are the paths on both sides that connect with this pedestrian tunnel here. The work to raise the platforms has now been completed. And this is how it now looks with the train in the platform.
Doors closing, please stand clear.
So I'm now at Boar's Head Reserve near Waverton. There's a lot of history here, including these tunnels. Let's check it out. The purpose of the coal loader was to transfer coal from large bulk carrying ships to smaller vessels. They did this by building these tunnels which would house a cable-operated railway. Huge cranes transported the coal to the platform above this tunnel, and then the coal was dropped through these chutes to the awaiting skip wagons below. The railway then transported this coal to smaller vessels that were waiting nearby. Now on the platform that is above the tunnels, and you can see some of these chutes. Here's a close-up. There are a couple of ships being restored here at the coal loader. Along with a derelict pier. So behind me is a single track line that goes from Waverton Station, it goes via Lavender Bay and finishes at Lavender Park. Now, I have only ever seen one train on this line, and this was back in 2010. There were some plans to close this line and convert it into a walkway or a shared path. I'm not sure if that's still the case. Interestingly, they seem to have replaced the overhead catenary, which makes me think that this line might be here to stay. On the approach to Sawmillers Reserve is South Steyne. This was, and maybe still is, the world's largest operational steam ferry. South Steyne operated the Mandy ferry service from 1938 to 1974. So I'm now in Sawmillers Reserve. This is getting close to McMahon's Point now. You can see the remains of a sinking ship just here. I've just done 20k by the way, so I'm really pleased with my progress. Probably going about 3 to 3.5 hours so far. So I'm now in Blues Point Reserve near McMahon's Point, and behind me is a Sydney Metro tunnelling support site. I've not really covered this in any other videos, so this is a first. Now the purpose of this site was to support the tunnelling construction work that was happening between here and Barangaroo. So tunnel boring machine Kathleen tunnelled the section under the harbour to here, so the northbound tunnel, and then came out here and then went back to bore the tunnel back to Barangaroo. And then since then it's been used to help with laying the track on this section, which I believe is pretty much done now. This temporary tunnelling support site is due to be removed by the end of 2021. So I'm now back close to Milsons Point Station, and in a moment I'm going to go over the Harbour Bridge. As I was approaching, I saw a 4-car K set. It was an empty set. A bit unusual to see those here, but unfortunately I couldn't film it, which was a shame. Access to the Harbour Bridge cycleway on the north side is via a series of steps, which is not ideal. The state government have revealed a couple of options for ramps, but North Sydney Council isn't too keen. Even cycleways get temporary speed restrictions. This was all taken on my iPhone, and I was trying to keep it and me as steady as possible. I think it might be time to invest in a GoPro Hero. So I'm now at Barangaroo Station, and a lot has changed since my last update here, so let's take a look. The 2 large Men from Mars cranes are no longer here, so the heavy lifting is over, at least for now. And it looks like the station roof is complete too. Those Super T-beams that were featured in my May 21 update video can no longer be seen, but they are there supporting the roof. Work continues on the station entrance, which is coming into view now. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, construction sites were working at about 50% capacity, but shortly after filming this video, full working capacity was resumed. The roof has also been completed on the south side of the station, as you can see here. Looking the other way on Argyle Street is the acoustic shed. I've not mentioned this before. Where possible, noisy pre-assembly work is done in here. You may have also noticed the acoustic shed at the Blues Point site that I covered earlier. You can now see Hixham Road below. The junction box that allows trains to switch tracks is also here 25 metres below. So now on George Street, and it's time to find out which is faster, Sydney Light Rail or my bicycle. I'm catching up. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm still in with a chance. Sorry light rail, it looks like bicycle is faster, but light rail is definitely more comfortable. This is Circular Quay, very quiet, hardly anybody around, of course no tourists at the moment, and no didgeridoo buskers. So now at the Sydney Opera House, I've done 27k now, so making good progress. And I have to say, I feel very fortunate that my 5k includes such wonderful places such as the Opera House and of course the Harbour Bridge. Now the Opera House is actually closed at the moment, obviously, but it's a construction site as well, so you can't actually walk beyond where I am now, and you can't go on the steps. So obviously they're taking advantage of the fact that there's nobody here at the moment to get some work done. This area is also completely closed off at the moment. The area around the Sydney Opera House would normally be extremely busy, full of tourists, but at the moment there's just a handful of lucky people like me that have this within 5k of where they live. Of course, the Opera Bar is closed. This would normally be buzzing with people at this time of the afternoon. The good news is that reopening is now less than 2 weeks away. With all the restaurants and cafes along here closed, there's just a handful of people. So I'm now on O'Connell Street, and behind me is one of the site entrances to Martin Place Station. This is Gate A. I didn't even know this one existed until someone mentioned it in the comments. So this entrance is important because it's where the track and the sleepers have been coming in, and I'm sure lots of other things as well. And there's a couple of cement mixers which you might be able to see. I'll show you those in a moment. So quite a crucial entrance to Martin Place. The construction site for the new Hunter Street station as part of Sydney Metro West will also start here. It will start at Gate A and include the building to the right of it, which is adjacent to Hunter Street. The buildings on the left side of Hunter Street, which you can see here, will also be demolished to make way for the new Hunter Street station. So I'm now outside the main construction site entrance on Martin Place itself. I have to say the usual viewing points that I used to have seem to be pretty much covered up. I wonder if they watched my video and thought, we can't have that. So a bit difficult to really show you much behind the scenes, unfortunately, and I guess Pitt Street's probably going to be the same, but I'll have a quick look and see anyway. Last year a new cycleway was introduced on Pitt Street. It was meant to be temporary just for the duration of the COVID pandemic, but it has since been made permanent. Notice the Harbour Bridge in the background. And here is the pedestrianised part of Pitt Street, looking very quiet. Only shops selling essential goods are open, and most office workers are working from home. This is the south construction site for Pitt Street Station. It's on the corner of Bathurst Street and Pitt Street. Plenty of work going on, but not much that you can see from the outside. So I'm now at Central Station on the side closest to platform 1. I'm going to have a very quick look at the concourse, have a quick look at the feature roof. I'm not actually going to go through any ticket gates. I think that's probably not wise at the moment. But anyway, you'll just get a little bit of a sense of how quiet actually Central Station looks right now. The railway bookshop on the left, you can't see it here, has been turned into a COVID testing clinic. And I reckon this is why most of these people are here. At this end it's much quieter. Work continues to complete the remaining parts of the new northern concourse. The majority of regional services have been cancelled, but on this day there was a train to Brisbane and Canberra. So I'm now on the goods line. This is a pedestrian and cycle walkway. You can see the original tracks here. These tracks connect with what is now the Inner West Light Rail. I'll show you that in a moment. I'm going to cover this in a separate video, but I'll just show you a few highlights right now. The goods line starts close to George Street and finishes where the Inner West Light Rail crosses Darling Drive. The end of the walk is marked by this tunnel that goes under George Street. And here is some of the original track and the signalling levers from the old signal box. And this is the railway bridge across Ultimo Road. This looks like a manual lever, perhaps for some points to a siding. And this is the other end of the goods line. You can see how the Inner West Light Rail takes over the old goods line track alignment from here. And this is looking back along the goods line from the same location. So now in Pyrmont, and across the road here is where the new Pyrmont Sydney Metro station will go. The main construction site will be in this triangular area that is bounded by Union Street, Regent Street and Pyrmont Bridge Road. Notice the proposed alignment of the metro tracks on this map as well. So now walking up Regent Street, the construction site would be on the left. Now on Pyrmont Road, the construction site would be on the opposite side. There seems to be one building on this site which is predominantly used for offices. There's also going to be a smaller construction site that will be bounded by Paternoster Row, Pyrmont Street and Pyrmont Bridge Road. So I think it's going to be just here where this building is. So I'm now just west of the Anzac Bridge, which means I'm basically at my 5k limit on this side. But very conveniently, this is also the site of the Bay Station, so I'll show you a quick look of what's happening here. So this is the site of the new Bay Station on Sydney Metro West. Not much has changed here since my Sydney Metro West update earlier this year. So it's great when you go for a cycle ride and you find that there's a brand new cycleway that wasn't there before, and here's one in Pyrmont. Let's take a look. The first section of the new cycleway is on Saunders Street.
41 kilometres.
Thank you, Gaia GPS. Just turned onto Miller Street. Notice the new bus stop on the right with cycle parking too. Now approaching Harris Street, and this is where this new part of the cycleway ends. The Pyrmont Bridge would normally be full of pedestrians and cyclists, but as you can see, it's very quiet at the moment. Here's some city views. Barangaroo and the Crown Casino are on the left. You can see the Sydney Tower in the background. There is a revolving restaurant up there. This is a great place to watch Sydney's transport from up high while having a nice meal and a glass of wine. Now looking south, you can see what I believe is the new IMAX being built, and then the International Convention Centre coming into view now. So I'm now at Woolloomooloo. I've now completed 45k and it's about 4:30. So tempted to continue a little bit further east, so we'll see what happens. Now at McKell Park, which is right next to Darling Point Wharf. In my 11 years of living in Sydney, I have never been here before. These steps lead down to the Ferry Wharf. And here is a view of Darling Point Wharf. All we need now is a ferry. I think we might be in luck. It's also a wonderful place to view the Harbour Bridge, especially at sunset time. So now in Double Bay, 51 kilometres done. I'm going to see if I can push on to Rose Bay. This is the view from Double Bay. Coming into view now is Point Piper. And now coming into view is the Double Bay Ferry Wharf. Next to the wharf is Double Bay Beach. Now approaching Rose Bay.
53 kilometres.
Thank you again, Gaia GPS. I saw far more people here at Rose Bay and also at Double Bay than I have seen all day. This is partly due to the fact that people have finished working from home for the day, but it's also because the 5k rule prevents people travelling any further than their local area. Now coming into view over on the left is Rose Bay Ferry Wharf. Rose Bay is one of many wharfs that have been completely rebuilt as part of the Transport Access Programme. These new wharfs float, which means that there's always level access to the ferry. Emerald Ferry Victor Chan is currently waiting on the wharf. So I made it to Rose Bay, and behind me is the Sydney seaplanes. It's all looking a bit quiet, unfortunately, which is not surprising. The total distance was 54k, so really pleased with that. I am going to cycle all the way back to Milson's Point, so that's probably going to add another 10 to 15k onto it, but I'm going to finish the video here. So I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit of variety, lots of different kind of transport things in this video, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and do leave a comment below. And if you have any questions, leave those below as well. I'm also now on Patreon, so if you want to support me on Patreon, there'll be a link to that in the description below. And subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.